So we did a gear switch here. We've got a 98 Chevrolet VinR Vortec 5.7 liter Chevrolet pickup. One of the landscaper trucks, belongs to the landscapers. My Mexicanos amigos, they're great, good-hearted, just awesome people. All of them, three brothers that I deal with. I mean, they give you the shirt off their back, and anytime I need anything, boy, they'll gang up and help me. If I need help moving a dead vehicle or something like that, I'm just asking for a little help, and they send a lot of help. So I like to take care of them. Anyway, so what we got going on here is we have, of course, this does have the updated injection system on it, this VinR, with the injectors at the end of the tubes. We're overfueling, so I'm assuming, right off the get-go, we either have a tube leaking fuel, or we have the regulator leaking. So we're gonna pull I'm not sure what we're gonna do yet. We'll probably pop the throttle body off there and stick our camera in there if we can't see what's going on, immediately. And we'll key it up, run the pump, and see if we got a leak going on. It's probably not a real big leak, but I don't see any external leaks, and I smell fuel, and it's definitely overfueling. So, and then the other thing is too, I think they like to do some of their own work, but sometimes they get a little bit above their head. So I'm here for them to help them out with that. We got a starter that is making a hell of a racket. They changed a starter in it, and it needs a little bit of shimming, which is, typical GM stuff. Terrible starters, but anyway, so I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. Jesus, my shop's a friggin' disaster. Customer slash friend. We were talking about YouTube a little bit. And he said, yeah, you remind me of another YouTuber, no longer with us. And so we had a little bit of a conversation there. And I said, yeah, some days I'm just not into, I'm busy and I'm just not into it. And he said, do it anyway. Sometimes I sound like an idiot, and he's like, well, go ahead, just do it anyway, because there's always going to be somebody that appreciates what you do. And then that led to the conversation. I explained to him that, as long as I've been in the industry, most of us old, cynical bastards are retired now. And I've never really felt this way. And I would have been considered, not that I haven't been professional, but the way that I came up in this industry, I would have been considered a backyard hack, because we have, and I'm not taking anything away from these people's abilities, and Facebook definitely changed all that, and I'll explain that in a minute. But, to get into some of these groups that these guys were in early on, forums that were professional only, they really put the thumb screws to you and held you to a very high standard. And basically they consider anybody that does their own work, if you're doing your own work, or if you're working not in a actual legitimate shop, which when I started I wasn't, but I did have a garage keeper's policy. I had insurance. That's one of the first things I got when I started in this. But I would have been considered backyard Bob, which I totally wasn't. But that's just the attitude that was there. So, but then we discussed that, it doesn't matter. You're not, backyard Bob isn't, if he's not doing things right, he's really not adding any value to the customer, but he's not taking work away from anyone. There's so much work out there. There's plenty of work out there, for everybody to do. There's more work out there. I'm just one guy, and I don't push it very hard. Well, I have lately because I discovered coffee, but, I don't push it. I work at a steady, rapid pace, but I'm not, trying to set the world on fire. And I have more, I literally have more stuff, and people are, I've seen them to where, I thought I was going to have to give them a hug because I told them I couldn't do it. I thought they were going to burst into tears, literally, because they wanted me to, they want me to do it. So it's like, well, okay, get in line. It might be a while. If I can, do something about that, I will. But, the way things usually work out, Murphy's Law kicks in, and you can't get this part or that part. So then you got to bay tie it up, and you got to push something out. And it's just never ending. But anyway, so, whether I sound like an idiot or not, I probably, continue to do this because, there are people that appreciate it and they do get something from it. And, while I'm not an expert, master of all and expert at none, there are some things that, I don't know, my opinion, I probably do better than other people. So, anyway, getting back to the Facebook, these people that I thought were such assholes, well, we got onto, when Facebook started, of course, everybody joined it, even us older farts. And, come to find out that most of these people were just big pussycats, in the real world, in reality. But, and like I said, most are getting close to retiring or have already retired. So we have these younger generation of people that, they do need that, that want to get into the industry. And when you're young, you think you know it all and you're cocky and all that. And I don't think I was that, well, of course I was that way, but I always tried to remain humble unless you got my hackles up or something, then we're going. But, they need mentorship and a little bit of direction. And YouTube and Google have both been, but some of the information on Google, once in a while I Google something just to see what's up on a subject or, one subject or the other. And I'm like, eye roll. It's like, Jesus Christ, and the forums, a lot of the forums, I picked up something on a Prius forum that was completely amazing when I decided to work on a Prius for a customer that was having an ABS issue and an ABS module issue that, some guy probably worked in an office, really sharp, had figured out on this. He deduced that, hey, this is what so there, you don't have to be a professional automotive technician to be able to figure stuff out. And sometimes people in the industry, I don't know if it's so much anymore, but it used to be, you're a friggin', you don't do this every day, you're a friggin' idiot. Well, that's not really true. I mean, some people are ham-fisted and they just don't have it. And that's why we're here, to help you out, keep your stuff going. But, most guys are they're gonna be able to figure stuff out. I mean, maybe not some of the more technical stuff if that's not their forte, when you start talking about communications and, that kind of stuff. And a lot of stuff has fiber optics and, all of that, quote, technology stuff you may not be into, or you may not be interested in, or you may not, have any semblance of understanding. But, plenty of work for everybody. If you want to get into this industry, if you're a young person, you need to listen to stupid old farts like me, because we've already been there and done that. And, we may use a hammer, but we don't swing it and destroy something. We know just where to hit it and how hard to hit it, that type of deal. So, and that's something that comes with experience. So, anyway, I blathered on long enough. So, thanks for watching and all that, and have a good day. Little addendum, kind of along the same lines of, how to make it in this industry if you're interested, or even for the do-it-yourselfer. This person that I'm going to mention, he knows who he is. I respect and love the hell out of the guy. We've since, discussed and had conversations and decided, had we actually known each other back in the day, we would have been good friends, But anyway, so in 2006, we did a lot of mobile work. I did a lot of mobile service and mobile repairs. Now, as far as, I had a service truck that I had. It was a pretty nice one. It was a 92 Chevy 3500, had an 11-foot service body on it, and I had an air compressor, all that stuff in there that you need on site. And, I bought it for $250. I bought it from a company that I used to work for, and I had worked on the truck previously, and I had been through all the GM training on the 6.5 turbo diesel and the EFI diesel. So, I was pretty well versed on those, but I had no friggin' clue, or really the need to at that point, to know anything about common rail diesel, how that worked. And none of my customers had them, and they're just you know, I didn't quite have the interest, but I thought, you know, yeah, we're doing good. Let's buy a new service truck. So I bought a new GMC 2006. Of course, I had a LBZ Duramax in it, and still have the truck, old number 7. Anyway, I feel bad because it's just sitting. But anyway, come time for the first oil change, you know, and I'm going to do a fuel filter on there. And I thought, when I did the fuel filter, I thought, Jesus, what a convoluted clusterfuck of a, what the heck, what is this crap? And so I put a fuel filter on it, changed the, you know, filled it up with oil, and it wouldn't start. And I'm like, man, it's not getting any fuel. What the hell's going on here? You know, so I was a member of IATN at the time, and this, they had like guardians that were posted that would monitor if anybody had a question, you know. So I popped in there and said, hey, I just changed the oil and did a fuel filter on my Duramax, and you know, I can't get it started. It won't start, you know, it's not getting any fuel, you know, what the hell? So, you know, this person knows who he is, you know. At the time, you know, he was younger, but very capable and extremely smart, and taught a lot of people a lot of things. The only thing about it is, you know, he was a first-class dick, so very intimidating too. You know, you don't want some young guy calling you an idiot. But he was very tactful. You know, he told me where the, you know, you got to pump the primer, that little silver thing up on top of the fuel filter housing, open the bleeder, you know, and get some fuel flow in there, because basically you don't have a lift pump on those, on the early ones. And, you know, you got the pump that's incorporated into the back of the CP3, and it has to pull fuel all the way, you know, from the tank all the way up to the CP3. So, you know, you can't have any air. You got to bleed that out. You got to get that fuel up there to the filter, and then go beyond that and pump some up to the, you know, so it'll pick the fuel up and start running. So, you know, great, good information. And at the end there, he says, he goes, do you have any service information? And for those of you that don't know, there's service information for professionals, and they even have it for, like, all that has do-it-yourself. You can rent on a short-term basis. And at the time, early on, I had bought a PDA from Snap-on that had these little cards, but it was outdated. It didn't cover that year. And somehow I had been getting by without it, because I'm working on the same things all the time. Well, now I'm starting to see new things, or I turn stuff down because, you know, how am I going to fix that? And I said, no, I don't. And he said, well, you know, you might want to get some. So, and by him saying that, I mean, that was the best thing in my whole career, which, you know, isn't exactly illustrious, but I mean, that was the best thing that happened in my life at that point, you know, as far career-wise, because that was the best. That was the kick in the ass that I needed. Once I got service information, it opened up a, you know, now I have all of this information, how this stuff works. I have technical service bulletins, you know, from the factory now that, you know, I mean, I can apply to certain conditions, you know, drivability conditions and stuff that I'm running into. Now all of a sudden I'm doing programming was easy back in that day. I'm doing all this programming, you know, reflashing, programming, all that kind of stuff. And it was really just a good kick in the ass. So anyway, it's really important. You know, you can't fully rely on Google if you're looking for service information. You know, you have to, you know, like I said, I go on there once in a while, and I'll, you know, it's an eye roll when somebody's talking about one subject or the other, and, you know, what's wrong here. And the forums, the diesel forums are kind of the same way too. You know, you get this information that's not exactly right, and it's completely parroted over and over again. And so you have, you know, I call it, without offending anyone, idiot begot idiot. You know, I mean, this inaccurate information just gets parroted over and over and over again. And a lot of this stuff too, I mean, there's facts, there's measurement specs, clearances and stuff like that. That's a fact. I mean, you can't dispute that. I mean, somebody might figure something out where this works better, this, you know, if we increase the clearance on it. I mean, I can't think of anything offhand that would apply to that, but I mean, you know, situations like that. But there's a lot of things out there that are not, I mean, at least in my world, in my experience with a certain diesel engine, are like so far off that it's like, you know, what are you guys doing? You know, why are you're wasting all this money swapping all these parts when all you have to do is you either need just a scan tool that'll read data, enhance data. You know, you need to invest in that so you can look at this data, and then you need to learn how to interpret that data, and you need some service information, not swap parts because your truck won't start, you know, that type of situation. So AutoZone, O'Reilly's, all these auto parts chains, Napa to some extent. Usually Napa is pretty good. They have some at least the ones around here, they have some fairly professional people, but the other places mentioned, you know, they're, you know, you got a O2 sensor code, you know, or whatever. They're going to sell you, oh, you need an O2 sensor. Well, you know, what if you have a bad driver in the PCM, or you have a wiring issue, you know, which can be, or what if there's a situation where you have another problem where it's affecting that, say, O2 heater, and that is, you know, the O2 heater circuit is not the issue, it's another circuit that's shared, you know, just some kind of a deal like that. That's why you have to have your service information. You need good, accurate information, and you have to have that in front of you, the wiring diagrams, and you need to be able to decipher them, which, you know, isn't too hard. Some of these newer vehicles, though, you know, I'll print out the entire powertrain, you know, everything related to the powertrain wiring diagram, you know, and the thing's like 4 feet long, you know, it's like 7 pages long. Sometimes, you know, that can be a pain in the ass to, but, you know, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to have sometimes, unless you get lucky, you know, and when you're doing it professionally, or, you know, anybody really, you know, accuracy is important, and because it's going to save you money. You know, you're not going to be unloading the parts, you know, open the bomb bay door on the B-52 parts bomber and just start tossing a lot of parts at it, because that gets really expensive really quick. And so you know, myself, I haven't changed a part on a vehicle on a hunch in years, you know, because I want to know, you know, let's test this out, let's see, you know, it might be a little bit redundant, and maybe people might think it's a waste of time, but you know, once you get good at it, or you know, you develop your skills a little bit, you're going to be able to do that fairly quickly. Yeah, you can do some deduction there. Well, you know, it's most likely not this. I guess I do a little bit of that sometimes, but that's all, you know, that comes from experience, and you know, 99.99% of the time I'm right, but there is that little small percentage sometimes I go, shit. I usually do that on my own stuff, because I hate working on my own stuff. Especially I had some Jeep Chrysler products which I loathe, you know, as far as the electronics and stuff go in, and I did that on a Jeep that I had. I swapped electronics, a bunch of shit in it, and got a PCM for it, and just because I was in a big fat hurry and too stubborn to, you know, to do it right. I wouldn't do that for a customer. I mean, I would do it right, but I hate working on my own stuff. I just have that's my mental issue, I guess, is I hate working on my own stuff. So that's why I got a new Chevy truck. I ain't working on it. You know, change the oil in it, and, you know, throw some brake pads on it. But when she starts giving me trouble, it's going down the road, because I ain't working on it. Anyway, thank you.